Hey, welcome to Beta List. We've got James Mulvany here from CDNify. How are you, James?
I'm very good. How are you?
Just peachy. So tell me a little bit about what you do and sort of, what's your background? Like, you went to university in England, I'm assuming, and then you sort of went on from there. And what's your story?
Yeah, so I've got a tech company. My story is when I was at school in my final year of school, sort of before going off to university, I wanted to get into the radio industry, and I decided that after a while, kind of after getting some experience and stuff, that it wasn't for me. But what I did learn was how to build internet radio stations and how to set up radio stations so they broadcast online. And off the back of this, I set up a website and I started selling, streaming media services and consultancy, and effectively, just making a bit of pocket money, I guess, just money on the side when I was sort of 16, 17, 18. Then I went off to university, studied interactive multimedia because I decided that was, kind of a career path, I guess, that I was interested in and I wanted to follow.
Radio
Um,
media.
yeah, exactly. And so whilst I was at uni, I grew the business kind of fairly organically. And after I graduated, I moved over to Manchester, which is in the north of England, which is where the business is based now, and started taking on staff effectively and kind of expanding the business. So fast forward 3 years, we're a team of 11 now. We've actually just expanded. We've taken the floor below in the building we're in because we kind of need more space.
Very nice.
And we just started working on a new project, which is CDNify, which has been a year in the making now.
Very cool. And in terms of, where did the idea for that sort of come from? You sort of it came from your existing business. It's sort of a spin-off, or how did that sort of come up?
Yeah, so CDNify is a content delivery network, and the way it came about was about 2 years ago we launched a new product for our internet radio clients, and it became really, really popular very, very quickly. And we hadn't thought about scaling. We'd never had any issues before with scaling, and we were running everything off a dedicated server, and it went from getting 0 to like 180 million hits in a single month, which was quite a shock to us, and we didn't really know what to do about it. So the server was kind of grinding to a halt at some points in the day because it was getting so much traffic during peak times. And immediately we started doing research, and we quickly found out we needed to use a CDN to offload the bulk of this traffic from our server onto a content delivery network. And also this would speed up the app for everyone and make it redundant.
Exactly.
So I started inquiring with some of the big names in the CDN industry, and I found it was quite difficult. As a small software company, we were ringing them up, and they were sending us these great big PDFs to read through, and there was no pricing. The pricing structure was really unclear. No pricing on the websites. There was no sign-up forms per se, and it was this kind of like long, drawn-out sales process, which made it really hard for us to get set up. So I kind of decided that there's got to be an easy way of doing this, and scaling is important, especially with things like the App Store and just the way the internet's gone over the past few years and is going, indeed in years to come. It makes it very easy for smaller companies like ourselves to grow big and get a huge audience. Whereas maybe 5, 10 years ago it was more kind of just for enterprise. Now there are a lot of very small companies that can scale their apps tremendously. So yeah, basically that's pretty much how the idea for CDNify came about.
Very cool. And in terms of the team, do you just sort of keep the same sort of folks you had from the company that you're growing and move them in, or how did that sort of get set up? Do you have some sort of co-founder, as your best friend from,
No, the
no?
business. We don't have I don't have a co-founder as such. The business is 100% mine. I've got 10 guys who work with me, and they're all really, really talented, and we have a great atmosphere in the office. It's nice and relaxed, and
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in people. Like, I think you should hire people who are really good and really passionate at what they do.
Yeah.
So the team kind of consists of a couple of programmers, a couple of tech support guys, some marketing, etc. And we've developed CDNify in our spare time, I guess. We're still focused tremendously on the existing business as well. I have hired a couple of people sort of who are more focused on CDNify on the new project. But really, it's been a team effort.
Very cool. And what are your sort of plans? I knew you mentioned before you were launching on Monday, actually. So what are your sort of plans after the launch? And do you expect to get 1.8 million hits or in one shot and bring the server down? Or
Well, I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have learned from our previous mistakes and we won't have any issues like that.
Yeah.
I think CDNify, there's it's in its infancy. It's a new business, it's a new product.
Yeah.
So we've got lots of exciting plans. I'm pretty happy with how the product is. I think we've got a great looking interface and brand actually. But there's also lots of stuff planned, lots of more features and things that we'll be implementing over the next year, and also really reacting to what customers want, because we know our customer base, the other side of the business, really well. But obviously this is completely new, and there's some crossover, but it will be largely a new market for us. So we're kind of excited to see, get feedback from people and react. Because we're a small company, of course, we can react really quickly. So if someone says they don't like the way some things are, or we notice a certain group of users are finding something confusing, we can very quickly rectify things like that.
Very cool. And how do you sort of want to break into the market? Because when we spoke before, you sort of said it's like a $2 or $3 billion market. How do you plan on entering in there?
Yeah, so the CDN market is about, as you said, 2 or 3 billion, and it's mainly dominated by about 10 players, very large enterprise sort of scale companies. We are going to target startups, independent software houses, freelance developers, that kind of thing. As I mentioned earlier, the App Store and things like that have enabled smaller businesses to build really products that scale very quickly, or get a lot of attention, traction very quickly, should I say. So that's really the market we're going after. We want to go after sort of small to medium-sized enterprises, and really our objective, our aim is just to make it simple for these guys, make it easy and non-scary.
Yeah, because usually, in terms of a lot of different enterprise products, they just sort of throw something big at you and expect you to understand it without any sort of guidance or anything at all. So, very, very cool. And then, in terms of background-wise, what would you say is sort of the things you've learned as you've gone from your 17-year-old to now, and starting companies and running around? What are some of the big things you've learned from that?
Wow, I've learned loads. In terms of sort of business things, I guess. Yeah. When I first started, I was sort of trying to please everyone, and although it's nice to try to make everyone happy, you've learned quickly in business that you actually can't do that. You've got to find a certain market or a section of the market that suit your product, and you can't build a product that is for everyone. I think it's very easy to try, and again, it's very easy to get bogged down with trying to make as many features as possible, and every single customer says, well, I think you should do this, or I think you should do this, or I think you should have this feature. So I think we've kind of learned to try and build products that appeal to the bulk of our audience, and I guess also when I first started, I was very much under the impression that I could kind of do everything myself. So when I first started, I didn't have any programming knowledge, but I sort of taught myself to program, and then I went through a stage where I was at university where I was like, yeah, I'm the best programmer ever, I'm really, really good at PHP, and now my opinion has completely shifted. I'm a horrible programmer, and I like, as I said, I believe in people, and I've learned to hire staff who are really, really good in their field, where perhaps previously I thought that I was an ace programmer. Actually, I'm not. So that's another really valuable lesson, is finding the right people for the right job.
In terms of hiring, what do you sort of look for? And a lot of they say the big problem these days is actually keeping talent at your company. That's sort of the main issue with startups in any company, really. They all want to go to the Google, the Apple, the corporate level.
We did lose a designer back end of last year, which was a great shame because he was really, really good, and he was only with us for about a year, and he rebranded our existing business and did a tremendous job with it, and he decided to move on just because he fancied a change, which it did hit us hard a little bit because I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
So I've tried to create an environment that everyone's happy in, because I think if you like what you do and you enjoy the environment you work in, then it's kind of. I've never had a job as such because I've kind of always worked online and worked for myself or had my business.
Yeah.
So I think I've tried to create an environment, whereas if I did have a job, that would be the sort of place I'd want to work at.
Okay, fair enough. That's a very good point. Well, very cool. Well, I wish you guys the best of luck on Monday. I can't wait to play with it and see. We could use some of that stuff for beta lists in terms of getting.
Absolutely.
So.
And thanks very much for the opportunity to come and talk to you today. I really enjoyed it.
Not a problem. Appreciate it, James. Thanks.
Okay, cheers. Bye.